A lot of flame, a lot of fire, crazy.
I got a phone call saying our house is on fire. The ceiling caved in, and we have significant water damage.
An overnight fire guts a downtown Toronto apartment building, leaving nearly 24 people needing somewhere else to live. Good evening, I'm Chris Glover. Thanks for joining us on this Good Friday. Investigators are still on the scene of what was a 4-alarm blaze in Toronto's Little Italy. The fire tore through several apartment units above some College Street shops. And as Ali Chiasson explains, amazingly, no one was injured.
This fire was intense. Take it from Nico.
Have you ever been in hell?
Smoke billowed out of the windows of the apartment above his. He watched from the sidewalk as the unit ignited.
A lot of flame, a lot of fire, crazy.
It was Madison Dearlove's apartment.
The ceiling caved in, and we have significant water damage. Like nothing's salvageable in there.
She wasn't home at the time, but her 2 roommates were. All are accounted for, except her cat that's still missing.
I have a sign. He responds to Indy. He's been missing since 5 o'clock this morning. If anybody sees him, please let me know.
Several College Street businesses are left to sift through soggy rubble and calling their insurance companies.
They took down all the ceiling, all the equipment. There's a lot of water damage.
The owner of this Egyptian restaurant is thankful no one was hurt.
Thanks to the firefighters that contained the fire and made sure everyone was safe.
The 4-alarm fire was under control within a couple of hours thanks to the hard work of about 100 firefighters.
The job they do, the fire people, was amazing. They were here in 3 minutes.
The fire marshal is investigating the origin and cause, but there's an early theory.
We think it possibly might have started near the rear of the building, and with the prevailing wind last night, it pushed all the heat and smoke pushed inside the building.
He says the firewalls in each of the units prevented it from spreading down the whole block. Looking back at the burned out apartments, the platoon chief is amazed.
Correct. If you can believe this, there were no injuries either, to the general public or to any of the firefighters, which is a blessing.
Now, if only Indy would come back.
Honestly, just worried about the cat, I think, is my main concern. Everything in there is replaceable, right? But a living animal really isn't. So if anyone sees them, please let me know.
Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Next up, the stunner at the gas station, and you should anticipate even more pain at the pumps. Experts are predicting the price of gas will rise 12 cents a liter overnight. Natalie Collada looks at why.
Oh, there's little doubt. It hurts.
It brings the real feeling of the inflation.
It should be $1.50 at the most.
And the pain at the pump is about to get worse.
I'm here.
Oh, I should have filled up more just now. It's pretty nuts.
I'm just, glad I'm buying it today.
According to experts, the price of gas in Toronto and the GTA is predicted to rise another 12 cents overnight, hitting more than $185 for regular, $2.15 for premium, and $2.01 for diesel.
This is really the result of markets realizing that oil is in very short supply, gasoline even shorter, diesel even worse, and of course now the switch over from winter to summer gasoline.
So a jump of 12 cents a liter, what does that actually mean for someone filling up their tank or for a family? We'll have a lesson to this. According to McTeague, this time last year, your average 4-door car with a 40-liter tank would cost roughly $38 to fill up, a minivan $90. As of tomorrow, filling up that same car will cost $75, the minivan between $140 and $150. And while some don't seem too bothered,
I don't know, it is what it is. I don't use that much gas, so I think I'll be okay.
Experts warn other prices will likely also rise.
It's diesel prices that are high, and these prices will cascade. They will make their way through the economy. Farmers have to pay more for their fuel. Farmers have to pay more for diesel, which turns into something called urea for fertilizers. All of this means that the price of just about everything, notably food, will rise as a consequence.
McTeague says the near record prices will be the new normal, at least for a while. Natalie Collada, CBC News, Toronto.
Turning now to what some are seeing as growing pains in York Region. The Ford government has once again used a provincial power to fast-track massive development projects. The government says it'll help with Ontario's housing crunch. But as Lorenda Redekop explains, some say it's too much, too fast.
This development is going to destroy York Region.
It's two separate condo communities, one in Markham, the other just across Highway 407 in Richmond Hill.
11 80-story buildings here, and then there's a ton of 60-story buildings as well.
Across the two developments, there will be 67 high-rises and up to 80,000 people. They're called TOCs, transit-oriented communities, near transit hubs planned for York Region. This whole area will be turned into condo towers. The province says projects like these will help solve the housing shortage
in this space.
But this Richmond Hill resident says there won't be enough businesses and jobs nearby for people moving here.
They're either going to get in their cars, which will just jam up all the roads, or they're going to get on the subway going southbound, which is already at capacity south of Shepherd, which is a problem because now nobody in Toronto is going to be able to get seats for the subway.
The deals were approved yesterday, the latest ministerial zoning orders. The Auditor General found the government used the fast-track method 44 times in a 2-year period. Before, they were used around once a year.
Would have liked to have a little more engagement as opposed to doing it on a Thursday night on a long weekend.
This Richmond Hill City Councillor wanted more park space. He likes the idea of having housing and transit access close together, but wanted better planning and a guarantee of more new businesses.
We're going to have a big development here, but across the street you're having single-family homes, so it's going to be like a fortress.
A spokesperson for the Premier defends using MZOs here, saying the NDP and Liberals will delay with more talk, studies and committees. She says anyone who's upset has a place to park their no vote. Lorenda Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
All right, to sports now, and another game, another milestone for Austin Matthews, the Leafs centerman, becoming just the third player in franchise history to reach 100 points in a season.
Larson lost the puck, picked up by Toronto, center cross shot, Bunting captures 1-0 Toronto.
That assist to Scarborough native Michael Bunting, placing Matthews in the prestigious 100-point club, and he joins Leafs legends Darryl Sittler and Doug Gilmour. It is the first time a Leafs player has cracked the 100-point mark in 28 years, and Matthews went on to record another assist in last night's game against the Washington Capitals. The Leafs absolutely dominating this one, winning 7-3. Meanwhile, the Raptors had one last practice at home today before heading off to Philly. Game 1 of their playoff series is tomorrow, and the postseason can be a stressful time of year for players and for fans. But as Greg Ross shows us, the pressure isn't getting to the young Raptors team.
The day before the Raptors embark on another playoff run, surprisingly, the topic of discussion at practice was not focused on their opponent in the first round, the Philadelphia 76ers. Instead, it turned to the level of affection shown by rookie Scotty Barnes.
He hugs a lot.
Oh yes, Barnes is a big-time hugger.
I got a big hug from him this morning.
Barnes admits he's not always sure how his hugs will be received, particularly with some of the veterans on the team.
I was scared to give Fred a hug, but he gave me a hug right back, so I was happy. I don't know, something about Fred hugs is just heartwarming.
To the cutting Barnes, slam dunk.
Barnes has contributed far more than hugs this season.
He does a few things that would make you a good teammate, right? He shares the basketball. He really competes. He loves the game. All of a sudden, you do those three things, and a lot of teammates are going to let you fit in.
His personality certainly seems to have a calming effect on his team, but it's not the only reason the team is so poised.
The relaxed attitude that the Raptors have heading into these playoffs likely comes from experience.
What a step back, and he drills a three. Big bucket,
Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, and Chris Boucher are all holdovers from the Raptors' championship run, as is head coach Nick Nurse.
My mindset is I'm trying to win tomorrow night, right? That's like, and I've since I've been through it before now, that I know what that triggers from there.
They head into Philadelphia as the underdogs, but they feel that having a mix of experienced veterans along with energetic and skilled young players will make them difficult for any team to face.
It'll be tough to play against us. A lot of versatility. Everyone can do a lot of stuff. There's not another team like us. We're very unique, and I think that makes us special.
Game 1 of this best-of-7 series between the Raptors and Sixers gets underway tomorrow night. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, the long weekend really blew in with a fury, with winds gusting up to 80 kilometers an hour, slamming the city and many parts of Ontario. Maybe not everybody's cup of tea, but just about perfect conditions for these windsurfers down at Cherry Beach. And Colette, I have some breaking news, a nice little update to our top story tonight. That cat that had the flyer where the woman was looking for them in the fire, it has been found, located, safe and sound. And we've seen a photo as well. So that is good news to our top story tonight, Colette.
That is amazing news, because I know that feeling, and I know you're an animal lover too, Carissa, that feeling if you lose your pet. So wonderful. Love that breaking news as we head into the Easter weekend. Those winds, though, that's part of the story. I'm showing you the temperatures across the region right now, and we have plenty of areas where we're looking at double digits. But you factor those winds in, and it's not just the kite surfing. We're seeing areas in the Niagara region where there are some poles down, some power lines, and some issues there. These are some of the gusts that we're seeing right now, but be aware we've seen many gusts that have been close to 90 kilometers an hour. Chatham, Kent, London, through St. Catharines, Kingston area, and now we're seeing the gusts at times around Toronto, still up there close to 80, mid-70s towards Ottawa at times. So we've got about 2-3 hours yet before we'll see them easing in the GTA. It'll take a little more time into Eastern Ontario, but they'll begin easing later tonight there as well. So the special weather statements, they've now been lifted there in the Windsor area, but still in place elsewhere. And then the wind warnings, and you can see, yes, some of these gusts definitely have been exceeding 90 kilometers an hour. So still for the Niagara region, and certainly there around Stirling, Tweed, through Kingston, Gann, up towards Brockville, we're looking at those wind warnings that are in place. All right, let's add another element to that, shall we? How about the rain shower? So this is all the activity that we're seeing, quite a bit of it. And as we see colder air filtering in, changing over to some light flurries or even a little bit of light wet snow through the overnight hours, but then we'll see a better trend. So this is 3 a.m. Still in the Niagara region, you're looking at a little bit of that light wet snow, but we get clearing as we go towards the morning hours. So 8 a.m. is looking good for much of the areas from Ottawa all the way back towards Windsor. However, we'll see that increase in cloudiness coming back into the afternoon hours. And even Saturday night, we could get into a few flurries. So do be aware of that. But we'll start off the day looking a little bit better for tomorrow. So looking at your Easter weekend forecast as we take you through Windsor, yes, tomorrow we will see sun early, then the clouds pulling in, but we should get you back to those double digits up to 10 degrees. A cold night Saturday night, so Sunday morning, any outdoor Easter egg hunts, it's going to be a chilly start, but at least there'll be sunshine before that next system comes in into Monday. 9 for Toronto with that increase in cloudiness. A few flurries. I know it's April. There's still that chance that we get into that. Sunday looks good here. And for the nation's capital, again, we'll see increasing cloudiness, a little bit of wet flurry or light snow activity for you as we go into Saturday night. I need to send it back to you, Chris, but like I said, I know you're an animal lover, so I just wanted to wish you a happy Easter and to all our viewers.
Oh, isn't that sweet? That's just because you talked about snow so much in that weather report, I think.
I want people to just forgive me. Sorry, folks.
All right. Thanks, Colette. Happy Easter to you as well.
Thank you.
To Ukraine now, where Russia says it is intensifying missile attacks on the Ukrainian capital, Kyiv. It says the move is in retaliation for Ukraine's attacks inside Russia. Moscow accused Ukrainian forces of targeting residential areas in a border region northeast of Kyiv. Russian missiles hit a suburb of the capital, and Ukrainian media outlets are reporting explosions across the region. It's unclear if anyone has been killed or wounded. A security camera video shows an overnight airstrike, and there are reports Russian forces opened fire on a bus carrying Ukrainian civilians. It happened in a village near Kharkiv, in the eastern part of the country. As many as 7 people are reported dead and 27 are wounded. There were also attacks on a factory that makes and repairs anti-ship missiles. They came after the flagship of Moscow's Black Sea Fleet sank yesterday, although Russia denies the vessel was hit by missiles. As people flee that fighting in the east and the south, doctors in the western part of Ukraine are seeing a big influx in patients. During this war, hospitals have been targets of Russian shellings. That has medical facilities taking extraordinary measures to keep patients safe, including makeshift wards and temporary bomb shelters. Katie Simpson shows us how one maternity hospital is coping.
Right now, we're at a maternity hospital in western Ukraine. Because Russian forces have targeted medical facilities, we can't share any of the specific details, but we have been given permission to show you the bomb shelter where new moms, doctors, and little babies are brought in case of an emergency. Now, you have to watch your head. The conditions are not exactly comfortable. It's a bomb shelter, remember. I'm 5'10", and this is I'm too tall for it. But when you come on in, you can see what they've got set up here. They've got benches, they've got blankets, it's dirt floors. What we're told that at this particular hospital, they weren't expecting air raid sirens like this. They weren't necessarily prepared. In other parts of Ukraine, there are more modern bomb shelters, particularly at maternity hospitals, but this has to do for now for this one facility. So there are beds, there are blankets, and I want to show you something over here in the corner. It's a birthing chair. Now, you have to really duck to make it over there. I'm told that no babies have been born here in the emergency shelter, but they have to be prepared just in case. Now, this hospital is doing a bit of a fundraiser right now because you can see they've got some equipment here for preemies and babies that have, special medical needs. And right now, the preemies, they can't bring them down here because that equipment doesn't work. So actually, this facility is building a new shelter so that those preemies don't have to wait it out. Their families don't have to wait it out when those sirens for an air raid go off. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Western Ukraine.
In the Philippines, it's been nearly a week since a tropical storm slammed the islands. Now Toronto's global medic is preparing to send teams to help in the aftermath.
And the storm actually hit in multiple spots on different islands. So the team that's going out today is going to the island of Iloilo, and there's 3 towns that have suffered landslides and inundations and been underwater, and people just don't have access to clean drinking water. So a Toronto medic and a Toronto firefighter are on their way out tonight, and they're going to carry with them water purification units.
Along with those landslides he was telling you about, Tropical Storm Maggie caused massive flooding and left dozens of people dead and more than 100 missing. Tens of thousands have been forced from their homes. So Global Medic is sending 2 rapid response teams to the country to help provide clean drinking water and assess any other needs on the ground. A 15-year revitalization project is nearing its end in Toronto's Regent Park. The neighborhood is one of the largest social housing complexes in Canada, and the final phases of the transformation are headed to City Hall. Farmerelli looks at what people there say the neighborhood needs next.
Deep in the basement of 463 Gerrard, the remnants of a long-since decommissioned boiler room.
This would have been the door that the coal would have been put into and the fire would start, and this would be the first heating system for Regent Park, the first social housing development project in Canada in 1943. This one, people have just recently moved out.
Very few tenants still live in this building. Most have moved out of units like this that have fallen into disrepair. The building, one of the few remaining low-rise structures to be demolished ahead of the final phases of the revitalization plan.
Mrs. Barker, how do you like living here in Regent Park?
It's not bad.
Well, why do you like living here? How is it different from where you were living before?
Well, it's much cleaner and easier to get along with it.
The history of buildings like this runs deep. The housing project built way back in the late 1940s.
The rents are geared to income and range between $29 and $90 a month.
In 2006, demolition began after the city approved a plan to revitalize the neighborhood. It worked with the developer to build new condos in place of the aging buildings. Residents were temporarily displaced, moved to other social housing, invited to return upon completion. The end goal, to have a mix of social and market housing.
This is our last chance. These are the last buildings that we're going to build, so we need to get it right.
TCHC and Tridel have now formally submitted an application for rezoning for phases 4 and 5, a plan to add more density, amenities, and affordable housing.
We're proposing to go from about 2,000 units up to about 3,000 units. We're proposing to find a home for a new super special Toronto Public Library, a new civic square, and lots of space for community gardens and outdoor recreation space.
This is one of the prayer rooms.
TCHC says it's been a community-driven process. This basement mosque, an example of the pressing need for more amenity spaces.
Yes, this is personal. This is home.
Local residents have been at the table pushing to get what they want in the application.
The news of a community space, it's important, but we want to make sure that it's a community governed space, right? Because governance is important.
All 2,083 of the original rent geared to income, or RGI units, will be rebuilt, but residents are pushing for more of the new units to be RGI, with governmental help.
We are not able to successfully have a revitalization for phases 4 and 5 without those investments from other levels of government, especially when we're trying to deal with the housing crisis.
Demolition could start as early as next year, but completion still at least 8 years away.
And as people grow up and their children grow up together, the complexion of this community is going to change to the degree that we can't fathom yet.
The hope for a sense of community to blossom without forgetting its roots. Farah Morali, CBC News, Toronto.
So you're going to lose something today. How much? Hopefully not too much. $5,000, taking you down to $14,400 for an 8-day total of $182,801.
Who cares about that loss? The hot streak continues. Toronto tutor Matea Roach won her 8th consecutive match on Jeopardy last night, bringing her total winnings to over $180,000 and counting. The Halifax native is set to return to the show tonight to compete in her 9th game and defend her title. Stay with us. We'll be right back. For the first time in more than 2 years, Cirque du Soleil is back in Toronto.
What people can expect to see is a lot of amazing human performances. The acrobatics, absolutely fantastic. The music is really amazing. A lot of energy, kind of electro swing type of music, and lots of humor. So hopefully people will enjoy it.
Very cool. The last Cirque show in Toronto was Alegria, which ended in December 2019. All Cirque du Soleil shows were canceled last year, and nearly 3,500 employees were let go due to the pandemic. But this year's relaunch is well underway, and you can see Curios under the big top through to July 17th. And that is our show for you tonight. Happy Easter, everybody. I hope you have a great weekend, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.